Oh, hello. Oh, that's I don't like it with just me. Let's add a screen as well. So, hello, my loves, my doves, my darlings. We have got a special guest instructor today. Can anybody guess maybe who might be replacing Ramon today? The hints are JavaScript, and a lot of y'all already love them. So, just really, really quickly, if you've never seen that my face before, if you've never seen any of this before, hey, we're the Bad Website Club. We're teaching a free JavaScript remote bootcamp based around the based around the free Codecamp JavaScript curriculum. If you want to join us, it's badwebsite.club for all the information. Okay. I asked who do we think is going to be the instructor today? And a lot of people like Stuart, Stuart. Is that because you think it's Stuart or because you'd like it to be Stuart? Um, because depending on y'all's answers, good news. Hey,
Ah,
Stuart.
I was just thinking, do I disconnect and very quickly attempt to find someone else?
Oh, Tina says that they both adore you and expect you. So I guess you're on staff now. Enjoy that.
Oh, well, I don't know that I'd necessarily go that far, but nonetheless, it is appreciated.
So, we are going to have a very, very chill and laid back time today. Oh, and because Ramon said so, that I was being very sneaky, be like, ha ha ha, we've got a secret guest. Oh, it's Stuart.
Okay.
This is kind of counterintuitive, but for today's lesson, a lot of our learners have very reasonably been saying, we've been doing a lot, we've been doing so much, this is too much, I need a break. We're not doing anything super new in this module. So, the concepts we're covering in here, we've done before. This you think it would be okay if learners who are having a hard time either just watch and do this later or come back and do this at a later time and take a break today? Does that seem
100%. This stuff is a little kind of self-contained unit almost. So if this is something where you don't have time to do it, or you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, or you just want to kick this off till later, that will not be a problem. So put this off to one side if you don't want to. Come back and look at it later. The videos are around forever, so
well,
you
I
can watch them.
mean, we so as long as you or I or the open web are likely to be around.
Yes, one would hope so, at least. Yes. So this is something where you could watch it later this week, next week, a month from now, a year
Next
from now,
year,
whenever.
right?
Regular expressions are useful,
But terrible.
but yes, this is one of the things which makes people think I'm never going to understand computers. This stuff looks like the cat just walked on my keyboard, and they have a point. Um, so we will get into this, but this is one of those topics where if it's a bit difficult to follow because it seems all like gibberish, it kind of is that way, and that never goes away. So don't worry about it.
So, for step 1, I think I'm gonna describe what we would see here and then just skip to so we can either type it out, but it's gonna be really repetitive. We could type the first one and then just skip to step 2, because I think what we're doing here is saying const message input and then setting that to the value of, document get element by ID, and then the message input ID. And I think we just do that 3 times
Yep,
for result and check message button as
because
well.
as we talked about in here in our input.index.html, there's or no, there's not a message input at all. Where is it? It is there. So it's the text area. This text
Hey.
area here. Yeah. ID equals message input. So we can just fetch a reference to it
Instead
like
of
that.
making you type that 2 more times, we could skip to step 2. It's real or ooh,
Can we
ooh.
do that?
We can or this, or this.
I I didn't think we could skip. I thought I had to check the code.
Oh, if you felt, very variable, you could actually so if you don't care about getting that green stripe, you could just change the number in URL to step 2.
Oh,
But
okay. But
you're much less into cheating than I am. It's just BTN instead of button, super normal. But we do get that little green stripe, and we're probably gonna need that kind of dopamine hit.
We do.
Yeah.
Bosh.
Alright, so we're gonna add an event listener. Okay. Um, to check message button, add event listener?
So what do you want me to type?
Uh, cons so, hmm.
Remember what you're doing is you're adding an event listener to your check message button. So check message button is our button and it has the add event listener function, just like everything
Yeah,
else that's an element does. So
and
we want
then,
to call add event listener.
in the parentheses there, the first one says "click," and then it's gonna have an empty arrow function instead of what we
Which
would
looks like
usually
that.
have next. Yeah.
Yes, empty arrow function. Correct. Pat pat.
Pat, pat. And do you know what's especially terrible and what terrifying about our learners is a bunch of folks when we did regular expressions last time, I was like, "I'm so sorry. This is gonna be so bad." A lot of folks were just like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah," like actively hyped, which I find terrifying.
Okay, well, rock and
Like
roll. Let's do it.
I'm never gonna mess with these people. They are too powerful for this world. So I think we're gonna have an if else here. So if message input is equal to an empty string,
So what's message input?
that's the variable that is the value of that text box.
Nope, it's the text box itself.
Oh.
So we don't want to check if message input is equal to an empty string because it isn't. It's equal to a text box.
Yeah, we wanna see that
We want
it's the
message input
value of it.
value. Yeah, we're checking the value of that thing, not the thing itself.
Amazing. Fantastic.
Okay, so if it's empty, then we display an
Uh,
alert.
alert, and that's gonna give us the little pop-up alert, and we could copy and paste that just so we don't mistype that.
Yep,
And then exit the function execution. Would that just be a return?
yep.
Hey!
If we test, and if we can test this in here because check message button is this button here. So if we click on it, our message input dot value should currently be empty. So it should give us an alert, which it does. And then we exit the function. If I type something
Everything's
in here and then
fine
click it, nothing happens
because we
because
haven't set that behavior yet.
correct.
Amazing.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna create a const is span and using, so set it with a create a function with a const and use that arrow syntax. It's gonna take the single parameter message and just return implicitly return false now?
So this is a little bit complicated, this one. So
Alright.
that would be normally you'd
Mm.
have something like return false. Yeah. So that would be a function which returns false when you call it, but they want us
But
to have a parameter.
implicitly
So we supply the message parameter. Now, because there's only one parameter, we don't need the brackets. So I didn't
but
put them in because it looks tidier,
really?
but you can put them in if you want to, not a problem either way. But what they want us to do is to implicitly return false. So what they mean here is that if you just specify a value, then it will
Oh,
return. But that's what they mean here by implicitly return false.
okay. I know
You
you
might
just
think,
told us that you
mhm,
don't need to put the parentheses if there's only one parameter.
yep,
Ooh, but I'm not comfortable with I believe you. Um,
then we'll do that, no problem.
but it's
You
like
might,
when we
you
started
might
moving
think,
to arrow functions, I wasn't having it.
yeah, you might think you could do this, just have the function which doesn't return anything. But if you do that, it doesn't return false, it returns undefined, which is not the
Ah.
same thing. So this is asking us to return false, so we need to actually have it return false like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. I'm conceptually okay with this.
We should get a pat. Yeah, there we go. Good.
And this regular expressions thing is not that long. We're like 10% of the way done. Back in our event listener, we need to update the text of the result element. It says we can use a ternary operator to achieve this task, but I'm not super good at those, so we could do this together.
Okay.
So after the if statement, Do we have to say else, or does it just know we mean an else?
Well, remember that's why we have the return.
Okay,
So if we go into the if, then we bail out of the
we're
function
done.
at that point. So if we put something here, we know we could go else and then put the rest of it in here. But especially if you've got quite a lot of stuff in this function, you end up with a whole load of stuff inside here. Imagine we had lots and lots and lots of lines here.
Mm.
Having to wrap them all inside the else is a bit annoying. So,
And
what?
like that return would bail us out of this function if our if condition was
Yes.
met. So we know if it's still running code in this function after that return,
Yep.
that we're in a sort of implicit else.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so this early return approach is quite good. Put some stuff at the top of your function which checks some things and bails. And then if you get to this point, you know you haven't bailed. So none of this stuff can be true. Quite a useful trick.
Okay. So
Okay.
use the I don't remember the ternary operator at all. I'm gonna go get it off of MDM.
So a ternary operator is something where you go this thing.
Oh
Question
yeah.
when it's true, when it's false. Okay. So ternary operators are useful in some situations. I tend to not use them very much because they can be more confusing than they are not. So it can be useful if you want to write something as an if statement and then turn it into a ternary afterwards if you want. So if you prefer to think of this as an if statement, then we can do that. Then we can turn it into a ternary operator if you like.
Could do.
Or we could just do it straight
Or
off.
we
You go
could
for it.
we could probably just do it straight off. I
Cool.
think that if the faster we go through this part, the more we can suffer together on the regular expressions part.
No worries. You're driving. I'm just the typist. So what do you want me to put?
Uh, um, let me look at this MDN again. So we would put. No, I got nothing. Let's do it as an if statement first.
Okay.
Oh
So,
gosh, or if learners want to bail me out at any point.
so one way to do this. So what we're looking to do here is we're going to call is spam and pass it message input.value. That will give us back an indication of whether the thing that's typed in the message box is spam. If it is spam, then we set the text content on result to be this. Otherwise, we don't. So if we're phrasing it as an if statement, it would be we could do something like const the result equals is spam message input dot value. And then we can do if. So we're doing this a very long way around first of all, and then we'll shorten it later. If the result result dot text content equals else result dot text content equals it's all good, right? So this would do what they're asking of us,
but not the fancy way they want us to.
but not the way they want us to do it. So instead, we want to condense this. So we're calling this, but what we're actually doing is we're setting result.text content to be one thing if this is true and another thing if this is false. So we might want to do something like if we say result.text content equals.
Okay, so we're setting it.
Something. And what the something is one thing if this is true and one thing if this is false, hence the ternary. So if we did that, question mark, if yes, if no, but now we need to set what those things actually are.
Okay.
So what we're doing is we're setting result.text content to be.
So Lisa suggests that we could do the result question mark result text content. Oh no, versus colon. It's all good.
But so it doesn't quite work like that.
Most of the
What
way there, conceptually.
what we want to do is the thing which is in here in the
Mm.
ternary is just a value. What you've got there is you can't do a ternary and then do a thing here. You can't say if this is true, then do result.text content equals something. So what we need to do is what we may want to do is these can only be something like strings or simple values where we're setting result.text content to be some kind of a string.
Yeah.
And the string that we're setting to depends on whether this is true or false. So that would be oh no.
Oh,
And that would
no?
be it's okay.
Yes.
I'll fill in the
Yeah.
details and things. So here we are setting result.text content to be this. And what this is determined by if this is true, the first thing, otherwise the second thing. Yeah.
Okay.
So what Lisa said as her next comment, which you yes.
I get you.
So there
Okay.
are a couple of things. Oh, go ahead.
No, 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 no.
There's a couple of things you might want to do here. First of all, this is already longer than a line. But one of the nice things about JavaScript is it's pretty indifferent to having lines broken somewhere. So we can do that. And it's not a problem.
I mean, it's a
perfectly
problem in my
happy with that.
heart, but that's me being irrational.
Anywhere where you've got spaces, pretty much you can just put a new line in instead if you want to. So you can break things across multiple lines, and in general, it will work. You can't do it inside a string. So this space here, we wouldn't want to do. That wouldn't work. But if you're not inside a string, you can pretty much break a line whenever you want. Secondly, we've got to actually set these to be the right messages. And this is the real reason why I broke it over multiple lines.
Because the message. So really, we keep coming back to this in the boot camp again and again, that human readability is a lot more important than we think it is.
Yes. The person who needs to debug this code in the future will thank you quite a lot if you've made it more readable for them. And quite often the person who will be debugging this code is you 6 months from now. So you will thank yourself for having done this. So you're basically paying it forward. You're making your life easier a year from now when you have to come back to this code. And if it looks like this, it feels much more confusing because it's a great big long line that you can't read. So
okay.
That's a bit clearer.
I thought the big takeaway from today's lesson was going to be Jess gets to cry again about regular expressions, but we're also getting some really, really good, hey, here's ways to make things less painful.
Yes. Make things less painful is your primary goal. Your boss might disagree with you, but you're the one writing the code. Make it less painful for yourself and for others, and it will always pay you dividends.
Then we're going to set message inputs value. So message input.value, we'd set that to an empty string.
Input value.
And y'all will note that like Stuart's gone ahead and sort of indented in the messages that belong to the same conceptual chunk, which makes it really, really easy to see that they flow together, they go together.
If you do that, then it's hard to tell where a line actually ends. So the point of indentation, especially in a language like JavaScript where it doesn't mean anything, is that it helps you quickly look at a thing and understand. So here, the stuff inside this if is indented exactly so you can get a quick look at it and say, the if begins here and it ends here, and this stuff inside it is part of the if. You could change it all over the place and do this if you wanted to, but then it's much harder to see where this if ends at this point. You end up having to trace through the thing yourself, going, where's the closing curly bracket for this? And that's really annoying. So nice indentation. It's not important to the computer because computers don't care about aesthetics, but it is important to you when you're reading it. And again, making things easier for yourself to read in the future or for someone else is a good idea.
All right. But
we happy with that?
I mean, I'm always happy, but do we get a little pat?
All good.
Oh, no. Oh, okay. So I was like, yeah, none of this can hurt us. Everything's good. We're going to do a
Well,
regular expression.
before we go on, people are talking about performance of things like ternaries versus ifs and so on. And in theory, this can make a difference, but in practice, nothing you do as code like this is worth optimizing for performance. If you want to, if you find that your program is running slowly at the end, then look for ways to speed it up. But making it less readable, in order to make it more performant, is almost always a bad trade-off.
Oh,
So that's something to bear in mind. It can be important to do, but it's something you do when you get to the end of your thing and you test it for speed. Um, so for something like a ternary versus an if statement, if you're running 10 billion of them in a loop, sure, go with the fast thing.
which is that seems a little bit bigger than most web applications I would. Yeah,
Yeah,
cool. Not just
yeah.
me.
My assumption is if the Adobe people hire you to work on Photoshop on the web or something like that, they'll probably ask this kind of question. If you're not doing that, don't worry about it.
Amazing. So it really sounds like what we're talking about is having a decent idea of how much human pain this is going to cause if these different approaches. So, oh, we would save several milliseconds,
Microseconds.
microseconds. We would save some conceptual, but like cool. But we're talking about running this on the web. We're talking about versus like developer pain is still human pain. So,
Yeah.
like, not making things hurt for you or for your peers.
Yes. If you want to improve performance, write less JavaScript, but not shorter words. Just do less of it in total. Yeah.
So, learners, if y'all wanna get here before us, because I'm going to need the 5 minutes to look grimly into a dark future, how would we do a regular expression that matches "hello world"? Oh, wait, it's just this. It's literally just
Yeah.
slashy, slashy hello world.
Yeah. So this one, we're asked to declare help regex and to define a regular expression to match a string, to put the string in slashes.
That's it.
So this is basically like, you know how strings are quoted or single quoted? Regular expressions are the same, except they begin and end with a slash.
Okay.
And it's a forward slash, not a backward slash. That's a backward slash. That's a forward slash. You want forward slashes for this.
And to be fair, it only really feels like a forward slash if you're a left to right
Yes.
language user.
I,
But
I didn't think of the name. I could call them oblique if you like.
ooh,
But
um,
or solidus perhaps. But yes,
oh,
they are
solidus.
called forward slashes and backward slashes, even though that is slightly left to right language dominant.
The web is, so the tech isn't always fair and always even-handed, but if we push check our code, I bet we get a little tiny
We do.
and then it just stays easy this whole time. Okay. Regular expressions, we learned about this. So flags come after the regular expression. Um And the so we already learned about the G flag, which is global, because this one, this help regex, would look for the first time it sees please help, the first time it matches that, and then it would stop looking. And if we added the G flag, we'd say global and say, hey, find me all of the examples of this and match them. But here, the I flag says, I don't care about capitalization. I don't care about case. Okay. So just saying, put an I at the end of this.
That. Yep. Happy with that?
I'm never happy with a regex, but let's see how okay.
Free Code
Oh,
Camp is happy with it.
it's
Pat
just gonna
pat
give
for you.
us little tiny step ups and then push us into the pool. Strings have a match method which accepts a regular expression as an argument. Oh no. And determine if the string matches that expression. Update our isSpan function to implicitly return calling the match method on message, passing the help regex as an argument. Okay. So we're going to get rid of our false. And we're going to say message dot is match.
Just match.
Just match. Oh, yes, I'm looking at is spam.
Yeah, I know.
And then we've got our smooth parentheses, smooth braces in there. And then we're gonna say help regex as a variable which contains a regular expression, so we don't have to add the slashes.
Yeah. And now we can check. So if we go hello, because there's our
Okay.
thing. It ran our help regular expression against the thing we typed in, detected that it didn't contain any spam, updated this thing, and cleared the box. Now, if I type in, what are we doing? Please help me. Looks like a
Oh,
spam message.
because the regular expression matched that please help.
Yes. So if if we type blah blah blah, please help blah. We think this should match, yes, because this whole content here will match that regular expression because that's found somewhere.
Yeah, I agree.
Also, because we made it case insensitive with the I, we should be able to type like that and it should
I
still
love the
work.
little face
And
you
it
did where
does.
you're like, "I don't like typing like this."
I do not like typing like that, but we can do that absolutely. Please help. Looks like spam. Please, will you help? No.
Oh,
Because although it contains please and help, it does not contain this entire thing. A regular expression only matches exactly what you give it. It doesn't match
unless you
the
add those
bits
flags.
individually.
Yeah.
Yes, there are flags and there are things we can do to change that. But if you give a
Okay.
string in a regular expression, it matches that whole string as a unit. It doesn't match one bit of it and then another bit.
We're like halfway through today's session and I haven't wanted to cry once. So I'm really excited to see how bad these next
This is
couple of
good.
steps are going to
So
be.
that was good. Nice. Next.
Okay. We can use the test method of a regular expression to test if it matches the pattern. Oh, so match is going to return what? So
So
test
what
returns a Boolean. What was match returning?
match also returns a Boolean. The difference is that match is a method on a string.
Okay.
Test is a method on a regular expression. So
Okay.
we did do that before, but here what we do is we start with a regular expression. So it depends which way around you want to phrase it. You can either phrase it as, does the string match the regular expression? Or
Oh,
does the regular expression test
match test
positive against the string?
for containing the
So
string.
you can do it either way around. And it's whichever is most convenient or most convenient for you or most matches the way you're thinking.
Yeah. And we've got some folks saying like, "Hey, I think match returns an array."
Sorry, yes, Steve is correct. Match returns the thing that it matches.
Yeah.
But because if it doesn't match anything, it returns null. That tests as falsy, so you can treat them as true and false.
Okay.
And we've talked about falsiness in the past. I think test actually returns. Well,
Let's
um, can I type things in this console? No.
You can't.
So let's do a please help dot test. Will you please help? That returns true, but will you please help, which is a string, dot match the regular expression, returns some details about the match, where it matched, where in the string it matched, so on and so forth. So
Okay.
test is a yes or no thing. Does this regular expression match this string? Match actually gives you extra details.
All right. Cool.
Okay, so I think we're good there. Yep, we
Yeah.
are.
And I should advertise that we're not going to do this whole thing. We are going to abandon learners midway through this just to make sure that y'all get some practice being unhappy as well. So the alternate sequence, like the bar, like the oh. So this is kind of like a bar is or for a logical operator, but this
Yep.
one is kind of like either.
Well, I mean, It's the reason the same symbol is used for both. They're different things. So one of them, the double bar is or.
Yeah.
When you're doing if statements, for example, but a single bar here is also kind of or in a regular expression. It's this thing or this other thing. So they use the same symbol because they're sort of in the same kind of headspace. They're not actually the same thing, but
like similar vibes, I believe that one would say if
yes.
they
So
if they were younger than us.
there it's this thing or this thing.
Okay.
Yep.
Well,
Happy with that?
I'm as happy as I'm gonna get.
There we go. That's all good.
So
Now,
this is a great time to say it. I'll do the pitch. The boot camp is free. Free code camp is free, but free code camp, and we're separate folks as well. The boot camp is just me and Ramon, and I guess Stuart sometimes. Whereas free code camp is a really, really dedicated registered nonprofit. If you've got some extra money and you want to donate, it's a really nice thing to do. But please don't spend money you don't have. You could hit ask
so I'm
me.
going to say ask me later.
Cool. And Noja makes a really quick, like a good quick point. I think doing bar in a regex just won't work because it's a logical operator that doesn't go into a regex.
I think it will work. I think what it will do if we say let's stop writing things. So if I put a let's say please help or assist me dot test will you please help, that should return true, yes, which it does. Now if you put 2 bars in,
Can
I
you
think
make the text a little bit bigger?
oh sure, in here, yeah, there you go.
Hey, there we go. Sorry, my old lady has, and some other learners as well. It was just me struggling and assuming it was my decrepitude.
So if we put 2 bars in there, that will also work. And but interestingly, if we test against I am Jess, exclamation mark, it's also true. And the reason for that is what this is saying is, does this match the first string or this string in the middle, which is nothing at all, or this string here? So what it's actually matching against is please help or assist me or the empty string in between the two. And the empty string matches everything because it's found in all strings. So double bar does not mean what you will think it will mean. It will confuse you if you use 2 bars in a regular expression.
I think it's exciting. I always love when something breaks in a new way.
So I would recommend against that.
So before we get another little breather. Let's update our application to check on more than one. Oh, so we just need a const deny list. And that's going to be an array. And the first, the only object in our array right now is help regex.
Yep.
Steven's got a really good question that we'll save to the end, which is like, wait, all strings have empty strings in them? We'll just save that to the end because that's definitely going to be some conceptual weirdness. I'm super excited. Remember that arrays have a sum method. I don't remember that arrays have a sum method, so I'm just going to get it in on MDN and just chuck it in.
Okay. It's in baseline, so everyone's got it.
Oh. So what does sum do? Test whether at least one element in the array passes the test implemented by the provided function. Okay, so this goes with.
So you do array, your array dot sum, and then pass it a function, and then it calls that function for every item in the array. And if at least one of them is true, then the sum also returns true. If they're all false, then the array, then the sum returns false.
Cool. So this sum method is just saying, hey, I'm going to give you a function, and as long as something in this array matches this function, go ahead and return true. So here, So we're doing a callback function with a parameter of regex.
So what we want to do here is we want to, for each of the regular expressions in our deny list, we want to test does calling does testing that regular expression against it return true. So here, what we want is we've got deny list is our thing. If we call deny list dot sum, and then in there we want a function which returns true if the regular expression matches. So here we can define so we want to return that because we're returning the result of this. In here, we're defining a new function with a parameter of regular expression, which tests the regular expression we're using against the message. So in here we do return regex dot test on message. So what this is going to do is it's going to walk through our deny list and call this interior function for everything in it. So first time through, it will call it with help regex. So then regex here will be our help regex, and then it returns does help regex dot test on the message return true, i.e., does our help regex match the message? And then it will go through and call that for everything. So maybe the message matches help regex, at which point it will return true. So the sum will return true. So it is spam. Or maybe help regex is false, but there's another regex here which will be true.
And we don't have those yet, which could be a little confusing.
Yeah, you can imagine there being other ones in here. It'll be interesting to see whether it allows this. This should do what they want, but I don't know. They might want us to do more implicit returns rather than explicit functions. So let's find out.
Let's see.
Your sum method should use arrow syntax for the callback. I knew you were going to say that. So they want
it does strongly prefer.
I thought they might do. Yeah. Okay, so that would be that. And then if we really wanted to, because we're running a function which just returns a thing, we could do this with implicit return as well, like that. Ooh. I personally would find that confusing to look at, so we're going to see if it allows this first. No. So we want to do.
Oh, no, just suggesting that we might want to chain the functions like we've been doing in the earlier sections. Oh, like that. We get a little pat, and we can continue to make ourselves unhappy.
Yeah. Is that what you meant by chaining, or did you mean something else?
Me personally, like this worked, so this worked.
Someone says FCC hates braces.
It hates that function keyword as well. So we're about 30% of the way done. Let's do just a couple more of these. Everything's fine.
Okay.
And I see some Learner, you've got a really, really good question. We'll go ahead. Let's just answer this right now, just because I know that you're in a time zone where you might need to go to bed. I think this is true because I've seen people do this before. We could use regular expression for like form input validation.
Yes. Yeah. So there are a couple of ways, actually. First of all, you can write a JavaScript function to validate your forms. Now, you have to be careful with that because any validation you do in JavaScript, someone can avoid it by just turning off JavaScript. So what that means is you can do validation of your forms with JavaScript stuff, and that's cool. But you have to remember that whatever your form sends its information to will also have to do the validation. You can't only do it in JavaScript because otherwise someone could avoid it. And what you don't want is if you're validating your form by confirming that, I don't know, they want to pay £100 and you check whether they've got £100 in JavaScript, they could turn off JavaScript and then say £10,000. So you'd have to do the proper checking anyway, but it can't hurt to do it on the client in JavaScript as well. So yes, you can use regular expressions for that and other stuff. The other thing that you can do, and have you talked about pattern?
We haven't.
Okay, so some form elements allow you to specify a pattern for what is allowed to be typed into that form element. So input boxes have this, and that pattern is specified as a regular expression.
I'm
But because
smiling
we
really
haven't talked about
big
that, that's
because
another thing.
Stuart and I are in a group chat where this literally came up this morning
Yeah,
because
like this morning.
we're not very fun people. I just wanted to sneak in there to be like, yeah, I get to I hang out with cool people like Stuart in my free time. Um, fabulous. So, oh no, another regular expression. Okay. Um,
But this should be pretty easy, right?
yeah. So this is we could copy and paste this, but dollar regex equals forward slash backslash or forward slash, and then just the text dollars. That's it. I think what we're gonna need to do it next in the next step is put that into the like I think we're gonna have to put the dollars regex into the deny list in the next step. But I think if we push go, oh, case
Well,
insensitive. I need the I flag, please.
you do. Yep.
I was like, let's go, let's okay.
There we go.
Ha ha
And
ha.
you are correct. Good guess. So there you go. So the point is that you remember we did the thing for where we walked through our deny list to check them both. Before we were walking through it and there was only one thing in it. Now there are two things in it. So
Oh,
if we test in here, if we go, hello, please help me, and check, it's spam. Blah, blah is not. But now we can also go, send me $200 and check. And it is spam because it went through, it tested help regex, which did not match, but it tested dollar regex, which did match. And because we were using some,
it gave
as
us
long as
that
any
true.
of them match, where is our sum?
I look, I
Oh,
don't
there.
know things. There it is.
Yeah, there we are. Yeah. So it checks each of the regular expressions in deny list. And if any of them match, because we're using some, so some of them match,
Yeah.
then it counts.
Amazing. Let's do a couple more of these. And because we are gonna abandon y'all soon. So if you've got any questions, and these can be philosophical questions about how much to stress out about this JavaScript stuff being big and heavy and stressful. This can be about regular expressions, which Stuart has already said he would answer all the regular expression questions.
Uh,
Ooh, oh wait, this Stephen, that's a good question. I'm going to steal that. But we'll just do a couple more of these. The nice thing is your homework for today, just to preview it, is going to be to not do these steps until you have some time. So your homework for today is going to be procrastination.
yep.
So we need to match a number before the text of dollars. And we could say 0 or 1 or 2. But I remember we could do this. We could say any kind of digit. We could say anything between 0 and 9. Oh, it is. So we just in front of dollars, we need to put square braces like we're making an array, but it's not an array because we're in a regular expression. And you could just say 0-9. Um, it's a very good question about JavaScript, and I'll save that. And I think that'll work. Oh, there should be a space between the digit and the word. Thank you.
Okay. So looks like spam.
Oh yeah, because there was usually going to be a space. I wouldn't say set, but if I said send me $200 with no space now,
It does not
ah,
match because it's looking for a single digit and then a space and then the word dollars. So if you don't have the space, it's not there. Interestingly, $200, there's multiple digits here, but it still matches
the digit before it, just the zero.
because there is this digit and then a space and then dollars. So that bit matches our regular expression. Even though there are other digits beforehand, that doesn't matter.
We'd think it was just as spammy if you wanted $1 or $200. I'm
Yeah.
chill with that. The dollar value may be more than one digit, but we did this.
Oops.
It already
So
works.
yes. So What they want us to do is to update it so it can handle more than one digit. But in practice, as we mentioned, it works if you say $200 because it matches the zero at the end of 200 and then dollars. But this
Right.
is so when it says one or more consecutive digits.
Does that come after the square? So, so that comes after the 9. We would put a plus
After the square bracket.
after the square
So
yeah.
this whole thing here matches a number, and the plus means one or more of the thing immediately before it. So
Okay.
then the thing immediately before it is this. So that would mean that it will now match 200 space dollars because it matches the whole thing. So to give you a better example of that, if we put a plus there, right, then we could do $2 and it matches. But if we also put $2 with 2Ds, it should also match because this is saying here you can have a D or you can have DD or DDDDD, as many Ds as you want. And we check that and it does look like spam.
So,
So yeah,
Nojo's
if you
asking.
put it in here, then what that will be is this the open square bracket and close square bracket define the character class, the thing it talked about before.
Oh,
0 to
yeah.
9. If you put a plus in here, what that would do is it would match the string 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or a plus. So this would
We don't want
match
that.
plus dollars, which we don't want. What we want is that.
Cool. And the plus is just going to be one or more is the syntax we're looking at here.
Yes.
Okay. But Nojo's saying like, and I'm actually going to cheat with this question. And could we limit it? Could I say like, hey, I only want it to match if there's 2 digits before the dollar, before the space, before the dollar? We could limit that, but we'd have to do fiddly stuff with regex that I am not looking up because we're going to do question answer. Oh, it's not even that fiddly.
You
Oh.
can do, but I don't believe it comes up in this lesson. But yes, it is doable if you want it to only match 2 things.
So we've only gotten to step 16, but that's 50% of the way done.
Okay.
Oh, we're gonna bail out. Like, look, we promised that we were gonna give people a break, and that includes us. So regular expressions are hard. The big thing I want to pitch is this is really, really important practice. Like you use regular expressions a lot, like just writing code.
I don't know that I'd say a lot. Having basic use of regular expressions is handy because I do use they do show up a fair amount. If you're doing processing of text or you're looking for something, but using regular expressions to match things is quite brittle. To give you an example, if we look at this, we're checking for spam by checking if someone's written a thing which says $200. Oh, $200. It's spam. Now, later on in this test, they'll change it so you can do $200 like this and it will still match. But it's because regular expressions match exactly what you've put in. The reason spam people tend to change their text around like this is because they're trying to avoid that kind of regular expression check. And what it means, if you're checking text with regular expressions, quite often you'll find that they're not matching something because someone's put a new line in here instead or something like that. Or they've made it so it says £200, or they've put $200 or something like that. So you need be using regular expressions. It's good idea to be wary of the fact that they're a very exact thing. It's like hanging out with the world's worst pedant. That they do exactly what they say and nothing else, and so you end up with a very big, long, complicated list of regular expressions.
Okay.
Excuse me. Sometimes.
So let's bop through some of these questions. Then we will give everybody. So does text content, does document.text content and document.inner HTML give the same results?
No.
I think, I was going to say, I think no, because we answered this question before, but I don't remember the answer of why.
You can set both and you can read both. Inner HTML gives you HTML. So if we look at, so if we do document dot get elements by tag name, the body for the sake of argument, that's our body element. And then if we do inner HTML, we get a big long list of HTML. If we do text content, we just get the text. We don't get any of the HTML in it.
Okay. So text content is go get me the text that you can find in this element. Inner HTML is go get me the elements themselves.
Yes. The second thing is that when you set it, and this is kind of important. So if I stores global variable, right? So this button here is now called temp1. So if I do temp1 dot text content, it is check your code, and temp1 dot inner HTML is also check your code because there's nothing in this button other than that text. If we look here in the actual HTML of this page, this button element just contains the phrase check your code. But if I set it, so if I do temp1 dot text content, I'll do inner HTML first. Inner HTML equals, and then I set it to be some HTML. So the italic tag, for example, this is in italics. Oh, and you see this is in italics. But if I set text content and my text contains HTML elements, they do not get treated as HTML. They are treated as plain text. So this can be useful because inserting HTML into a page can be dangerous if you didn't write the HTML. If you've got it from something a user has typed in, for example, that can be a problem. But if you use text content, it's safe here because any HTML in your string is not treated as HTML.
Okay, cool. These seem like two very, very different use cases. I've got a slow setup from. I've got a silly question from Stephen first. Now that I've seen this question, I'm less sure. Does everybody use the soft G to pronounce regex out loud in English?
No, they don't. Some people call them regexes. I personally do not, and it's opposite to the G in GIF, in my opinion. But yes, some people say regex, some people say regex. You will also see them called regex, regex, or regexp, regexp. So people vary on what the shortening is. They vary on how to pronounce it out loud.
With the
all of them are fine, obviously. Yes.
And like anybody who's going to fight with you over these isn't really worth spending your time with.
Yeah, no, just pick one you like and go with it.
So Stephen's saying, hey, do you know what? We've got a step coming up that's going to specify using this the S flag to talk about white spaces. So Stephen was like, hey, why is that explicit? Do regular expressions care about the white spaces between the forward slashes, like within our regular expressions?
So yes, they do.
I was going to say, wait, hang on. Somebody else was going to, sorry, one of the other learners said, here we go. Joy of coding, joy of programming, says, yes, regular expressions does care about white spaces. And I thought they were right. So I wanted to like sneak in there and be like, they were right first. Sorry.
That is correct. So to give you an example here, I mean, this is going into the future bit of the course, but we talk about it a little bit. So here, our $regex matches $100, for example, but it doesn't match 102 spaces dollars because that's not a number, one single space and $1. But also, more importantly, it doesn't match $100 with a carriage return, a new line instead of a space. But if we made that \s, 100 new line dollars, then it does match because /s matches any white space. So a new line is white space, a space is white space, tabs are white space, tab characters if you manage to get one. And so the thing here is that we've got $100, and we put a load of spaces in, and it stopped matching. But this is where our plus thing is useful, because if here we have any white space, so \s is a single white space character. So if we put a plus after it, that means one or more of this. So now if we match $100, it looks like spam. If we do that and we put a bunch of new lines in, so we've got spaces and new lines in, it looks like spam. So
All right.
that's the difference between a space and /s. We could have done that,
but it would
which
only
is,
care about an S.
yeah, that is
Or space.
a single space character, and then the plus means the character beforehand. So what this would match is multiple spaces, but it wouldn't match a carriage return.
And we've got one last question. I said we were going to be done with this, but can we skip ahead to step 26? Saying like, hey,
Sure.
so
What do I do? I just change it in here. This feels like cheating.
You can. It's absolutely cheating.
Check it out.
Yeah. So here we need the. Jane is asking, and like, I know this isn't the point of the question, but you've got to scroll up a little bit because there's a comment above you. So Jane is asking, hey, it says that we need a bar in here. Why? Previously regular expressions selecting what?
Right. So what this is saying is, at the moment, so we've skipped ahead a little bit, but this regular expression matches some white space and then free money and then some white space. So if we type, I want free money, please, then this regular expression will match it because there's some white space, free money, and then some more white space. So if we test that, then it looks like spam. But the issue they're trying to fix here is that if we have that, then it's not going to match because here there's no white space before free and there's no white space after money. So this regular expression, which requires there to be a single white space character and then free money and then a single white space character, will not match this. And if we check, it doesn't. So what they want us to do is they want us to say this thing here should be either a white space character or the beginning of the string. So to do one thing or another thing, we use the bar, right? So
Okay.
And we so imagine if we'll get rid of that for the moment. Imagine if this F, we actually wanted it to be this F or a G, so green money, right?
Green money.
You can't just do that because then what that means is this or
all of this. So we need to put it in the parentheses.
The parentheses, the brackets around it mean that this or is only this or this.
Okay, so like I'm saying, I'm limiting the logic of this or to just these two characters.
Yeah. So we want one white space character or the start of the string. So now this is going to match one character, which is either the beginning of the string or a white space, and then free money. So now if we test it, if we search for free money for me, please, this should work because now this should match this because the beginning of the string matches the invisible beginning of the string here, which is not really a character. And then it matches free money and then another white space. So it will match that. And if we test it, it does.
It does.
However, this won't pass because it wants a non-capturing group. So here you'd also have to do that. But that's explained in an earlier lesson. So you remember I said that regular expressions can look a bit like gibberish from time to time. This is what I'm talking about. You look at this and you think, what does this actually mean? And you have to go through it and piece it together. So this is why regular expressions can be complicated because it's hard to look at that and know what it's actually checking. In order to check that that is matching the words free money with some substitutions, I'd have to spend 5 minutes with a pen and a bit of paper. So it can be a bit awkward. But
which is still more efficient than my having a tiny bit of a cry. Fantastic.
Does that answer the question?
I think so. Jane has said, I understand now. Thanks, Stuart.
Cool.
Further reinforcing that we should just have you on every week. All right. I'm going to be very, very mean and give everybody their homework. And as part of that, Stuart, thank you so much. I will send you backstage where we definitely don't gossip about how much we love our learners. Fabulous. Your homework, which is very counterintuitive this week, is unless you're like super caught up, unless you're like way in advance, unless you started this last year, don't worry about this section until later. Y'all have been doing so much. There's big, big, heavy concepts. And this one's regular expression practice is hard, but this one's really just sort of practice. This can wait. Your homework until tomorrow is to go ahead and try and get some diffuse thinking time in. Try and get some relaxing time and to be as gentle to yourselves as possible. We will be right back tomorrow with Ramon again. And thank you so much, everybody. Bye, team.